He's a lieutenant governor, a former mayor, and right now the poll-leading Democratic nominee for the Senate from Pennsylvania. But there's a lot more to John Fetterman than that. The 6'9" Fetterman is still on the recovery track after he suffered a stroke just days before winning his primary back in May. And now his opponent, TV doctor Mehmet Oz, is trying to use that to his advantage.
I've said all along, as a physician, I have tremendous empathy and compassion for how challenging it is to bounce back from a stroke. I offered John Fetterman numerous opportunities to explain to me how I can make it easier for him to debate. But at this point, since he's given numerous reasons for not showing up, including the fact that he didn't have time on his schedule, I'm of the opinion that he's hiding his radical views.
Well, I asked Dr. Mehmet Oz if he'd like to sit down for an interview, and he didn't say yes. But John Fetterman did, and I spoke with the lieutenant governor and his wife, Giselle, just a few hours ago. Take a look. John and Giselle, it is good to see you both. John, you and I know one another relatively well, but we haven't seen each other. We haven't spoken since your stroke back in May. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling amazing, actually. The truth is that I actually feel much better than I have felt in quite a while, honestly. That's the truth. I'm walking 4 or 5 miles every day and making sure that we're taking all the medication that the doctors have all prescribed, and just actually feel fantastic.
Giselle, John has credited you with saving his life. Was there ever a point over the last few months, maybe even today, where you're saying, why are you running for office? Focus on your health and our family.
No, I mean, I waited to see what the doctors thought. You know, I'm not a doctor. The doctors all said that he will make a full recovery and that he's more than in fit and shape to do this, to take this on. And I've always thought if you have the ability to make lives better, it's your duty to do so. And I've seen John make lives better so many times, and I think that's what he's supposed to do. So I support him, and yes, I did save his life, and I will never let him forget that.
Yeah, and
where are you?
Yeah,
yes,
she did save my life, and that's the truth. She recognized that I was in the middle of a stroke, and even at the time, I was still committing to wanting to go to a campaign event. But I'm just so grateful that not only that I survived because I was close to the state's top stroke facility. And I was able to get there quickly, and that has allowed me to survive and to be now running a very successful campaign right now as a result. And the only lingering issue is every now and then I will have auditory processing, and I might miss a word every now and then, or I might mush 2 words together then. But that's really the effect of it now.
Does that mean you're having any neurological problems? I mean, to not be able to hear a word here and there, one might think there's other problems besides just that, or it's connected to something more serious.
It's just that. It's just basic auditory processing. And there is expecting to have a full recovery over the next several months, too. Remember that just a little over 3 months ago, I was in a stroke that really would have ended my life. But unfortunately, I was quickly to the hospital. So I just remind everybody that my health now is robust and I'm able to live a normal life, driving, going to the grocery store, not looking for crudités, but nobody can really, see a difference between the life the way I'm, leading. It's just the fact that every now and then I'm going to miss a word or mush 2 together, and that continues to get better and better.
And I think
your opponent, yes.
Sorry, I was going to say, like any other American family that has a health crisis, the only difference is that we've had to heal through it very publicly.
Yeah. No,
Republicans, your opponents they're making the argument that you're too sick to govern. You said they think it's funny to mock your recovery. How do you convince voters you can do this job?
First, their approach, I always just would say desperation is the worst cologne. And they understand that Dr. Oz's campaign is in shambles. Whether you look at the polls, you look at the fundraising, they've just figured out that, let's appeal to folks that get their jollies, making fun of the stroke dude. And again, if that's your story, tell it the way you got to. But he really should own those words, and he should just acknowledge that as a doctor, you are going around making fun of somebody that had a stroke. And when you look around and realize that there's Pennsylvanians all across the state that have serious health crises in their own life, and I don't think anybody would want a doctor in their lives making fun of them or laughing at their circumstances, but I just happen to have a doctor in my life to do just that.
You turned down Dr. Oz's invitation to debate. What made you come to that decision, and do you think you'll debate him before the election?
Oh, again, as I just said, this is just a sad approach at this point because they are trying to not focus on the condition of their campaign right now. And when they want to get into a serious conversation and really talk about having a debate, I'd be happy to engage in that. But right now, the fact that they have chosen to have a deeply unserious campaign to just ridicule somebody that is just recovering from a stroke.
Take me to the campaign trail. What are voters telling you is their top issue? Because just a couple of months ago, it was all about gas prices and inflation, an issue some people said was the problem from hell for the president. Today, what are you hearing?
Oh, what I'm hearing is that one, they are so glad to see that I'm healthy and that it's going great. And it's astonishing that, you know, just a few days ago, we were in Mercer County, a very deeply red county, and we had 450 people there. It is remarkable. And I think everyone's excited because they want a genuine, actual Pennsylvania resident and somebody that actually understands what are the important issues are. And I think people also understand really what's at stake in at this election right now. And now with Dr. Oz now just being caught saying that, you know, every abortion is murder, and that right now there's a stark choice between us right now too. And people, I think, understand that.
Do people in Pennsylvania understand that? Because to your point, Dr. Oz has flip-flopped on abortion, but now he's saying it is murder for those who believe life starts at conception. Doug Mastriano is running for governor. He is against all abortions under any circumstances. Do Pennsylvania voters know that abortion access could become an issue?
And nobody really knows what Dr. Oz believes. I don't even think Dr. Oz knows what he believes. You know, here's an individual that was fined over $1 million for selling magic diet pills now. So if you're willing to sell those kinds of products and swindling people out of their money, who knows what they really believe? Because right now is very clear that this is a very important election, but you know, we stand on the right side that I believe a majority of Pennsylvania voters understands.
Besides what Dr. Oz stands for and what he's offering, how do you serve all Pennsylvania voters? It's a very big state, right? Think about Western PA, in Pittsburgh, where the economy was thriving before COVID, filled with tech companies and universities. There's probably all sorts of people there thrilled about student debt forgiveness. But go 30 minutes outside to Beaver County, where there's likely voters who are saying, I just want a good kindergarten. I want a good 5th grade. How do you serve both voters? We've got a complicated economy. People want very different things.
I just think people need to understand what and be able to recognize, what their lives are really like. And we believe and we know that we actually do that. Very important too. And, living in Western Pennsylvania, living across the street, actually where we're having this interview right now, right across from a steel mill, we have to understand that we all can't work at Google or we can't all be working at a hospital. We have to make sure that we are making more stuff here in Pennsylvania and in America. And we also have to make sure that we address to an obscene minimum wage. And how can we now, running for the Senate, and you own 10 homes and you are not unwilling to raise a minimum wage above $7.25 an hour? We all know that Dr. Oz does live in New Jersey, but the simple is important too, to recognize how can you understand a life of a Pennsylvania resident if you have nothing to be able to serve one that has no clue on what life is like, living here in Pennsylvania.
But also being on the road and red parts of the state and blue parts of the state, we're not really all that different, right? You know, parents want their kids to go to a safe school. They want to be able to retire comfortably. They want to be able to raise their families well. So we do vary on issues, but at the end of the day, we're a lot more similar than not.
Yeah, and you know, we've always run a very 67 county campaign. You know, we've been to every one of Pennsylvania's counties, red or blue, 4 or 5 different times. And I'm pretty confident that Dr. Oz hasn't even been to every one of the counties, you know, because he is just parachuted in, you know, less than a year ago.
Are you trying to win that deep red MAGA voter? If you've got someone who is still supporting Donald Trump, who just this week said he should be reinstated as president, or Doug Mastriano, who was outside the Capitol on January 6th, are you trying to win that voter? No,
we're not trying to win a red county. I mean, this idea that you're going to turn an 80-20 Trump kind of county to blue, that's not the goal. The goal is to make sure that we are having the conversation with every person here in Pennsylvania. And we are going to, because we have been able to jam up the margins in those as well, too. That's the secret, honestly. And if you look at the results in the primary as well, out of 54 of the red counties in Pennsylvania, our campaign, we got more than votes in the 25 of these counties, more votes than Dr. Oz in his primary, too. And that's remarkable. And that really demonstrates that, one, there are plenty of people there that appeal to the kind of campaign that we're running. And it also demonstrates how very little Dr. Oz has to offer a lot of these places as well.
One thing that you are winning in, before we go, is trolling. Hardcore trolling, social media trolling, using New Jersey, using Snooki to go after Oz. It's obviously entertaining. It's getting a lot of attention. But does any of that matter to voters who care about their day-to-day lives?
Oh, absolutely. People do understand how it is very important. How can you, if you can't recognize a life here in Pennsylvania, how impossible could you go to DC to fight to make a life in Pennsylvania better? And it also, the kind of campaign we run is very, it's never nasty. You know, that's Giselle's always very inspiring in that way too. It's always kind, and we only traffic in truths too. Whether you're looking for crudities or talking that Dr. Oz lives in New Jersey.
But if there was no fun in politics, right, politics would just be completely unbearable. So we really are trying to normalize kindness in politics, but fun, right? We have to have fun doing this. And I think we're doing it in a way that's kind, and it's really drilling on messaging. And it's also reaching a demographic of folks who may not have been engaged to vote and to participate, and we're bringing them into the loop and to our team as well.
Yeah, and you know, regardless how nasty Dr. Oz continues to behave, you know, we're not going to respond with the same, and we're just going to continue to running the kind of campaign that we've always been running in all of 67 counties here in Pennsylvania.
Well, it is good to see you both, and good to see you in such good health and on the road to recovery.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
It's so grateful to be here. Thank you so very much for having us.